All right, today we are working with analog signals. I have a Siemens S7 1200 PLC with a SM123 analog input, analog output module attached to it. We are still in the analog input range. Today we are talking about potentiometers. So today we want to wire up a signal conditioner, which our potentiometer is wired to, and then our signal conditioner supplying our 4 to 20 milliamps to the analog input. So we want to talk about wiring, configuring, and then our end goal is to get a percentage readout on our HMI. So as I turn this potentiometer from 0 to 100, we should see that reflected on the screen. So let's go ahead and get started with the wiring. So we are using a signal conditioner to just get a better quality of signal. Also, we can use this potentiometer now and get a 4 to 20 milliamp input here. So talk about wiring on the signal conditioner. We have a FC-P3 signal conditioner. I will show the data sheet for that. You can also look that up to see some of the specifications on it. So talking here, we have power. So this signal conditioner has 24 volts power in the middle here. On the bottom here, we have our output signal from our signal conditioner. We can use the I plus and minus for current, or we can use the V plus and minus for voltage. I have it wired up in a current output form. Those wires go up to our analog input. I have the positive to 0 positive, and I have the negative to 0 negative. Then finally, we have our input to our signal conditioner, which in this case is our potentiometer. So we have the 1, 2, 3 wires over here aligned with the 1, 2, 3 wires here. If we take a look at the side of this signal conditioner, this is where all of that information came from. Obviously, we can look on the data sheet, but this is where I got all of that reference points. So that's the wiring. So let's get into setting this up in our TIA portal and getting a readout here on our HMI. Before we get into TIA portal, we need to set up the user program on this signal conditioner. I have the data sheet here with all of the information, what wires, where wires go, things like that. If we scroll down here, there's a section about status indicators, and then we can see this section here on user programming. We want to follow that to set up as soon as you go online with TIA portal, you'll know it immediately if it is reading out correctly or not. So wanted to take a stop there to verify that. Now let's jump over to TIA portal. So you can see I have a basic project set up, have my PLC and HMI added. We want to start by coming to tags. Obviously, we are not in the digital space anymore. We are in the analog space. So I need to add a new tag right here for this potentiometer. So I'm going to call this raw analog value, because that is going to be the raw analog value count coming in. It is no longer going to be a bool, because bools are ones or zeros, ons or offs. We are going to be in an integer. an INT. And you can see here an integer can't be labeled QO something or Q1 dot whatever. But at this point, you may not know what this number is. So let's come to your devices and networks. Let's click on our PLC. And one cool thing here in the devices view, we can actually zoom in here and get your tags. So if we zoom in here, not only for our PLC, but for our analog card, we can see what all the factory default tags are for this analog card. So we are wired up to analog input 0. So according to this, we are on IW96. So now all we have to do is jump back over to tags, change its identifier to an input. It already set its type to a word. And then down here in our address, we type 96. So now we have that raw analog value coming in on IW96. This is a good spot to do a compile and download, because then we can look here on our tag table and see our live value to make sure your signal conditioner is working properly and you have that scale that you're looking for, the 0 to 27,600 number. All right, so we have a compile. This is my first download of the day, so I may have to cut out here and jump back when it's done. My download has completed. I have went online. Now I can come up here to our tag table and hit monitor all, where I can see our live values. So if we focus in here on the tag we just made, you can see that I have a live value coming in. And we can see that value is fairly close. So when I'm at my minimum, I'm at -235, so that's fairly close to 0 there. And when I go up, I'm at 27,700 and we'll call it 15. So we have 0 and we have our max, and that matches our min max light on our signal conditioner. So we can now go offline because we are ready to make that value into a readable value on our HMI. So I'm going to come here to program blocks, main program, and I'm going to start by coming over here to instructions, and in conversion operations, we are going to need a norm X and a scale X. You can refer to the PowerPoint lectures on this to get all of these in great detail, but let's go ahead and set this up. So our value coming in is that raw analog value, and its minimum and maximum are 0 and 27,000. We'll do 715 because that's that max number that's about that max number I just saw over on our live value. Here we need a normalized value. This value right here is going to be a real value that just transfers from the norm X into the scale X. So I can hit define tag. I can change this to a regular real and hit OK. All we need this tag to do is to move it out of the norm X into the scale X. So I can load it into the input side of the scale X. And now this is what we want to scale it to. So in this case, we just want percentage. So I want 0 to 100%. Now on our output side, this will be our percentage value. This will be a real number, so we can define this as a real and enter. So now we have that value coming in. we have it normalized, and we should have a percentage value going out. Let's do a compile and a download and see how close we are. All right, go online and monitor. All right, so I'm going to turn it to 0. So that looks pretty good. We are at 0%. Obviously, we have a bunch of junk there. We could get rid of that with a round instruction, but we are at 0. Let's go to 100, and we are right on 100. Perfect. So now we have this whole scale, right? I can turn it to what I think is 50, and we have a percentage scale using this potentiometer from 0 to 100. Now we can run that in speed, right? We can run something at 0% speed to 100% speed. We can use that to control air pressure, other values, anything we would like. So perfect. The last thing I'm going to do here on the program side is I'm going to add that round instruction. So I'm going to throw another line of code in here. In our instructions, in conversion, I'm going to throw a round instruction. And input, I'm going to put the percentage value. And output, I'm going to put rounded percentage. And define that tag. This is the tag that we will use in our HMI here in a second. Perfect. Hit a compile and a download, and we'll finally jump over to our HMI to add that value there. Perfect. All right, so now we'll minimize the PLC for right now. Let's jump down to our HMI, our screens, our root screen. Over here in elements, we will grab an IO field. We will click on that IO field, and now we will come down to properties. There's a lot of settings under the properties in an IO field. We can start up with general. General, this is where we tell it what tag to look at. So we can click on our 3 dots. We can navigate up to our PLC tags, and we can find that value we want to read. So I want to look at rounded percentage and hit OK. What type is it? Is it an input? Is it an output? This is meaning from the HMI side. So like, can the HMI input to this number, or is the HMI just reading this number as an output? So it's just reading this number. We cannot enter a value here. Decimal is fine, and I want to change the format a little bit because I don't need all of those digits. So let's just go to 3 digits. Now we can come on under here and do all of the appearance stuff, change the color, the size, the text. We can go to layout. I always like to fit object to text. That makes the box only as big as the text needs to be. And then I come here to text format and just bump the size up. We have limits where we can set different colors if it goes over a certain limit, and all other kinds of designs. So that tag is addressed. That tag is done. The last thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to drag some generic text over here and throw a percentage sign. And I'm going to change the size of that. There we go. All right. So now all we got to do is compile and download to our HMI. And we will be ready to go. I will cut back when that loads up and we will test it on the screen, and that is it for this lesson. All right, our PLC and our HMI program have downloaded to their devices. We are online. We can see we have a 0% value on our HMI, which relates to our current 0% value over here. Now it is time to test. So if I take my potentiometer and turn it anywhere between, we should see that readout. So I can anywhere from 100% to 0%, and anywhere in between, we can see that live value show up corresponding to the potentiometer. So that is working a potentiometer through a signal conditioner through TIA portal and displaying it on an HMI.